Howdy, folks. Sorry for the delay. Welcome to the show. We will be doing our predictions. And no, Randy, I did not forget the time. We're delayed because Eck is in transit. So don't blame me. But we'll start with the pre-show. Go ahead, Russ.
I don't see Randy blaming you over here. What
You said Mike forgot what time it is.
Oh, all right. I missed that. All right. So let's talk about fantasy hockey because
Yes.
me being a prospect guy, I would say there are a good 6 people that text me regularly for fantasy hockey information. I don't get paid for it. I don't ask money. I'm in a fantasy league. I'm in the EP Ringside Fantasy League, and yes, I'm winning today, if you care. But the point is, it's unbelievable how many times I will get asked my opinion on young players in fantasy hockey. And it's like, I always oblige, but I'm telling you, I should see how many hours of my day it does take up sometimes.
Yeah, thank the Lord nobody contacts me for fantasy hockey suggestions because I just tell them to F off. I do, I do like what they do on the 32 Thoughts podcast. It's called the In-Season Stanley Cup, where they get 4 people. They each draft 8 teams. And of course, last year Vegas won. So whoever had Vegas, they get they're leading 1-0 because they won the Stanley Cup, and then they won yesterday. So whoever has Vegas, you continue to have the number of days that you have the Stanley Cup until they lose, and then whoever they lose to, the person who has. I like that because that's at least, it's not individual players, it's teams.
Right.
It's like, I mean, not to say I can't be bothered, but I can't be bothered.
I could be bothered, but just to give you an example, there's a difference of getting guys that will be good 3 or 4 years from now. Excuse me, or getting young players that you want to be good in fantasy either this year or next year. It's harder to do. So here's an example, like on my actual team. So when we had a chance to draft some of the younger guys, yes, I took Leo Carlson because I was like, yeah, all right, because probably by the end of this year, he'll be contributing, maybe even earlier. We'll see. I took Ivan Miroshnichenko because he's in the AHL.
Is this a keeper? This is a keeper league?
It's a keeper league.
Yeah, that's smart.
I took Sandin Pellikka because I don't think it'll take him that long. I took Dustin Wolf, not because of Randy, because Calgary's goaltending so bad that I think this year he'll get a chance. So you have to kind of look at it that way. And I get asked these questions all the time about what I think a prospect's going to do. But you also, when you're taken into context for fantasy, and Dauber sometimes they always hit me up for like this fantasy thing at the beginning of the year. It's not easy to figure out. So that's all. I just thought I would tell everybody. Eck, I was just reminding everybody I've got about 6 people that probably contact me at least once a day, 3 times a week, just for fantasy information. That's all. They're just
really.
Hey, Russ, can I pick your brain for this? And so we were talking about that.
And I told them to go screw. So
yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah, Russ is too nice. I'm a mean bastard.
I think that's established.
Yeah. Thank you. Just to update people, I still do not the great investigation of the fireworks from yesterday. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I don't either.
All I know is I'm going to put up a poll on Twitter X, to ask whether that should be my new avatar on X. To have the explosions of the fireworks in the background.
Mike is like Clouseau. He's never getting to the bottom of it.
No. Well, Russ thought it was him that did it, but
I did, but it's not recreating it now, so it clearly wasn't.
I think somebody, I think somebody hacked us, and they hacked us, give me a thumbs up.
It's unlikely it was hacked, And also the other thing about when someone hacks you, you never mention it to people that you've been hacked. That's a good thing.
Why would someone hack us with an account?
I don't know, but there's no explanation.
You look nice. That's the whole thing.
There's no explanation for it. So anyway,
I think maybe it's just karma. Like maybe this fireworks thing was just like
It wasn't karma. No, it was something that triggered something within this program, but we have no idea.
Wait a second. This is great. This is the best line. The list of things Mike won't tell you to F off about is a short one. Thank you. I like that.
Yeah,
All
it is.
right, the show because I want to make predictions.
We got predictions for the entire Eastern Conference today. All right, here we go. Hello, Hockey World. It is Wednesday, October 11th, 2023.
I'm Michael Agello and Thomas Boyle. I give the updates. You don't.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund. You're watching HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is a podcast that once again comes to you Monday through Friday to fill you in the comings and goings in the hockey world. And we have 2 games last night. Obviously, we can talk about them a little bit. 3 games last night. Obviously, we can talk about them a little bit.
We won't talk about those. Other than let's just say this.
We have to talk about Bedard Crosby.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it was always interesting that Bedard lost his first 7 faceoffs.
Actually, but he was worse than that. I mean, he was only like 2 for 13 or something.
Yeah, like 7 in his first faceoffs. I mean,
it
was fun to see him play. He definitely has.
Crosby won the first faceoff so strongly, he almost put it in his own net.
Yeah, I saw that. I know he's and Crosby is impressive. He still was impressive. No matter what. It's incredible. This guy does not seem to age to me at all. He
looks great.
Can I just say this? Can I just say this as a sort of an overview? Because obviously, Blackhawks are going to be one of the worst teams in the league, but they'll be exciting because Bedard is an impressive kid. And by the way, the interview that ESPN set up with Crosby and Bedard interviewing each other was painful to watch. Yeah. It was have somebody interview them, not have them interview each other. I mean, come
Emily
on.
Kaplan did a good interview with Bedard after the
game.
I mean, you could have seen this coming. Crosby is not the kind of guy who should be interviewing anybody.
No.
And Bedard is too nice. Maybe we'll be like that someday, but it's not going to be able to interview Crosby because he's going to be like a little starstruck by the guy.
Yeah, so have Steve Levy interview them, or have Messier throw them questions. As another great player, but not them interviewing each other. It was just weak. But no, let's say this: it's one game, and you can't make judgments. But for the Pittsburgh Penguins to lose to the worst team in the league on opening night is sort of embarrassing, especially when they're up 2-0. They sort of rested on their laurels, and then Chicago took it to them. It was
that's hot takery. I'm not getting too caught up in that because they had trouble with Chicago last year. So
they did, and that the thing is, Chicago is the reason that Florida went to the Stanley Cup final. We all talked about that. Chicago beating Pittsburgh last year.
I'm not going to get crazy. I'm not going to get crazy with the narrative that it's fitting in Karlsson. I didn't see any of that. What I did see is, hey, Pittsburgh does have trouble on defense. There's no question about it. Chicago does have some good offensive players. There's no doubt about that. The thing about, Bedard is now everybody can see that, hey, even though he's a smaller guy, he really is strong. But his shot deception's so good that he's always going to get shots on net. I mean, he took 11 shots.
Yeah,
on that team, he could take 1,000,000 shots. But I would say Jarry did a good job on him. He did, because Jarry knew when some of them were coming. And so he may have given up a lot of goals to other guys, but he was good against Bedard.
No, it was. And he had to, and he had to be. Anyway, I mean, Bedard was everywhere, and he seemed like he was on every other shift too. I mean, he definitely played a ton. I mean, he was out there all the time, and he's fun. He's fun to watch. He's the number confuses you with Patrick Kane a little bit sometimes because the size and the speed is similar, to Kane. But it's fun. It's fun to watch it for sure. And I thought it was an entertaining game at least. It
was entertaining. No, I mean the first game was sloppy, not great.
Yeah,
it was a better play game, even though Chicago scored 4 in a row. But I do feel like it was a lot better played. I did.
Yeah. I do worry. I mean, I'm not going to say Karlsson's not going to fit in, but I've said from the beginning that Karlsson is a guy who needs the puck all the time, and he's on a team where there's lots of guys who want the puck all the time. So you can
see the difference now. They gave Letang a different role.
Yeah.
And I think once Letang fits in that role, they'll do better. The problem is, look, they've elevated Marcus Pettersson to, I think, a point where he may not be able to do it. That's the problem. That's what I see.
That's an interesting. So speaking of this, let's get right to this because we got Now, how you want to do the predictions today? Like, I didn't know whether we should do them 16-1, and have like the playoff
Let's do them divisions.
Divisions, and then we'll do the actual who makes
divisions are always best.
Yeah, division.
Okay.
And let's start 8-1 rather than 1-8.
Okay, 8-1. And do you want to start the Metro? Let's start the Metro.
Yeah, start with the Metro. And
quick thing about the Metro, like an overview for a second, and then Mike, you can start.
Yeah.
The Metro has been a division that's been pretty good for a really long time, and they have had, and for the most part, I mean, it's hard for people in Philadelphia maybe to understand this because we have been really bad, but the rest of the division has been pretty solid, and it's been a battle, and they have often had more teams in the playoffs than the Atlantic. I think that's flipped this year, and I'm just throwing it out there right now. I think the Atlantic is the better division, and I think that I do think there's 4 teams out of the Metro that make it to the playoffs, but I think barely, and I think that this easily could be 3 teams in the Metro. So let's start with the Metro, and I think it's a battle of I think there's really 2 teams in the Metro and then everybody else. But let's or 3 teams in the Metro and everybody else. There you have it.
Okay, you want to do the worst team and then work the way up from
worst? Let's do worst to best.
So my worst.
Yep. Go
Philadelphia Flyers.
Philadelphia Flyers. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I don't see a way out of the basement for them. Now, look, they could get second. They can get 7th. That's fine. But I just don't see a way out. Everybody has gotten better to at least the point where even with the Flyers getting certain players back, they're going to trade players at the deadline. I just feel like they're going to be in the basement.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And I don't think there's any getting around it. Like, I think that they are the team. I mean, they had opportunities to be better than they had, and they chose not to go and get some players because they just are looking at rebuilding totally. And it's weird. I don't think I've ever in all the years of doing this predicted the Flyers to finish in last place in their conference. Even I even think they're last place in the conference. I'll throw that out there right now too. But I think the last place in the division for sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So next up, 7th in the division. I'll start with this one. I'm going the Washington Capitals.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I just think that they don't have a lot, and I think they need to get faster. They do have some young players coming, and it's going to be interesting to see how they integrate them. But it could take a little bit.
Yeah, next year could be a better year for
them. Right.
I mean, Spencer Carberry is an excellent coach, and he'll get a lot more out of the younger guys than say Laviolette would have. But I don't think there's a lot of there. Backstrom is still, I think, limited from the injuries. Wilson, maybe he bounces back. Kuznetsov, they're looking for him to bounce. There's a lot of ifs there, and that's why I don't think they're going to get even close to sniffing the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of on this. Well, we're agreeing too much right off the bat, I have to say.
But don't worry. With your kooky picks, we don't have to worry about that.
It's going to stop at some point. Number 6, Russ, why don't you start there?
Yeah, I'm going with the Blue Jackets. I think they've improved. I don't think their defense is good enough. They're still trying to trade a defenseman because they have too many of the same kind of defensemen. Right. I think their goaltending is just a little bit above average. Fantilli will be great. There'll be some really good things with them. The fact that they're not starting Kent Johnson makes me scratch my head. I don't get it. So, yeah, there's some things going on there.
Yeah, I have Columbus 6 for, Merzlikins has not been the goalie that he was before the injuries.
Right.
And that's a big concern. Now they have Tarasov, and I think eventually they think he's going to be an NHL goalie who could challenge him, but they have to have Merzlikins playing at a high level for them to contend for a playoff spot. I love a lot of their young guys. I just don't think they're going to get, they'll maybe test for a while. And they're also playing Patrick Laine at center, which I think is puzzling, but okay. But no, I don't think they're going to come close to the playoffs.
This is where we're finally diverging from each other. My 6th team would be the New York Islanders. I think the Islanders are this. I think the Islanders. I know, and everybody's going to say, I already got Islanders people saying you never like the Islanders, and I felt like just shooting those people because honestly, I have been completely and utterly pro Islander longer than anybody else. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
Where's the fireworks there? Come on.
I think the Islanders are
when he was in midgets.
Yeah, no, I think the Islanders are 6th in this division. I think that they don't have what the 5 teams above them. I just don't see it. I think they're better than the Capitals and Flyers by quite a bit, but I don't think that they are above 6th.
I agree.
I don't know what's going on there. Gee, somebody's hacked.
That was super close up. So I'm 5th.
Yeah.
This is where I go Islanders.
Yeah, same for me.
I understand some of the rhetoric Joe Morello saying in the chat room, and some of it's true. Certain guys didn't play long enough together, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Sorokin's great. He's a top 3 goalie in the league. Their defense isn't as good as it used to be. It's still pretty good, though. They did add some youth to their blue line, and that's good. I think that could help them, but I still worry about the scoring. Zach Parise is probably going to come in with that $1 million contract soon, unless they trade for Shane Pinto. But if they trade for Pinto, you're going to be trading Wallstrom. So it's going to go one way or the other. They just, in the end, they just don't have enough goal scoring. They're going to play the differential game again to the death.
Can we replay the prediction show from the last 3 years? Because we've said the same goddamn thing about the Islanders every single freaking year. They can't score. They added Bo Horvat, and they still can't score enough. You know, they're going to make the playoffs if they make the playoffs on the back of Sorokin.
Yeah.
I think their defense is good, but I don't think that, the Romanov adding the addition last year was okay, but really they're relying on Dobson growing to be a really good defense, and maybe he does, but in a year or two they won't be able to afford him because unless Lou works his magic again. But it's all on Sorokin, and this.
Yeah, I didn't see if Sam Bolduc made it. He's one of the ones that I hope makes it because he's big. And he takes up room in the ice, and he's got some offense, so that could help him.
No, it's very much on Sorokin.
And I don't think they're far away from the Penguins. I don't.
Who do you have at 5, Ak?
So at 5, I've got the Penguins, and you sit there and you talk about, so I've got the Penguins at 5, the Islanders at 6. So you're looking at and I actually think that the Penguins. I mean, and I did this before yesterday's game. It has nothing to do with the Penguins losing last night. I just think the defensive issues are big, and I think the goaltending issues are real, and they're iffy. I think Jarry can be a great goaltender, but I think that I think they bet a little high on him because they didn't have any other options. They tried other things. I think the Pens are going to be a tough team. I think they're going to have a tough time making the playoffs. I don't see them as a playoff team at all, and that's fine.
In spite of their performance last night, I had them 4th, and Jarry's regular seasons have never been problems other than the injuries. It's always been, his ability to stay healthy and what he's done in the playoffs. So I think the addition of Karlsson will help. I think the additions in the bottom 6 that they made will make them more complete. If they can keep their older players healthy, then I think that they're in pretty decent shape. But as for, right now, I have them as the team battling with another team in the Atlantic for the second wild card. So, and I'm right now I'm in batting around in my head until we have to make the top 8 predictions, which one will be which. But if they have to go to Alex Nedeljkovic or something like that as their goaltender, if Jarry gets hurt, then they're gonna fall precipitously. But I have them 4th.
Yeah, I've got them 4th also. Joe is saying if Malkin's taking 2-minute shifts, they're going to fail. That was at the end of a game. But give Malkin credit. I don't think he played badly being out there for the 2 minutes. I just think that's what they were trying to do.
Chelsea they looked a long time to me.
Yeah, Pens have to be a 500 team and then make a good move at the deadline. I think Dubas did enough things for now to kind of keep them in that area, and I think they're not going to wow anybody. They'll go on, good streaks and bad streaks. They just have to be around 500, and then they do need to make an impactful trade at the deadline.
And it's gonna have to be for a defenseman because when you're talking about P.O. Joseph and Chad Ruedel, and they pick up John Ludwig, who is the son of Jan Ludwig. So there you go. Yeah. They're gonna overplay Karlsson, Letang, Graves, and Pettersson, and if they do that, they'll be dead by March. So they're gonna need some depth on the blue line.
Yeah, at 4 is where I put Columbus. I honestly do like a lot of their young players. I think he's going to be a factor. I think Merzlikin can do what we want him to do. I think kicking up, just some of the trades they made, I thought were solid. I thought that they, and then the other thing I'm throwing in there, which is kind of like a wild card factor, is the whole thing that happened, with their coach before the season and everything like that, and all that stuff. That can tend to be a stuff that brings a team together.
It can galvanize a team, but it also could be a distraction if it keeps getting brought up. So
it could be, but I think that I think with him it won't be because it's not the first time this coach has had that issue. So
no.
I think that I could see the Blue Jackets really being surprising. I think that they're going to be a lot better than they've been. When you look at last year, even they managed to stay competitive a lot more than they should have, and considering all the injuries they had, considering all the stuff that was going on, they're a good team. They're not they're not with the top 3 teams in this division, but they're a good team. I think. And I think
he has to stay healthy. If he gets hurt, they're screwed.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I think, if Werenski stays healthy, I mean, think what they did if they had Werenski. They didn't have him at all last year, basically. So
and they're putting Line at center, which we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I mean, it could be temporary. I mean, those things are like those things start. I mean, right now I don't put too much stock in them. It's an experiment, what have you. But I do think that they're for real. I think some of the young players. I'm surprised by Johnson, like you guys said, about him not starting with them. But I think it's just a matter.
Johnson, I don't get it.
I think it's just a matter of time, and I think that'll shift. Perhaps that's just something they're trying to say. But
matter of time, he was probably like their 4th leading scorer last year.
Yeah, I know. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Maybe once they move Line from center back to the wing, then Johnson.
Yeah. Obviously, something in preseason they didn't like about his game in some way, shape, or form. Maybe he didn't show up. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know these things, but something's there for sure. So number 4, you guys already said you had
both of us. You had Columbus, so now 3rd.
Well, the top 3 teams are, I think, the obvious 3 teams, and I think that there really are. They could go almost any way you want to put them, but.
Well, why don't we just do all 3 at the same time? Because I have it Carolina, New Jersey, Rangers. I think it's
Carolina number 1, New Jersey 2,
Rangers 3. And I'll explain. Rangers. I like the additions that they made during the offseason. The only one I think that it should be concerning, maybe Quick, because I know Russ was saying that he didn't think Quick
didn't look great,
but he's a vet. And is he really going to stretch himself out in the preseason? Maybe he's just saving himself. Being the sort of veteran guy, he's just saving himself for the regular season. If he's not good, then then they're going to be looking for a backup goal.
Well, they're Dylan Garand, and they could bring him up. He's a young goalie, so they have somebody.
Now, apparently Cully has made the cut.
Yeah, I predicted that. I wrote about that for Full Press. I like that addition, and I'll talk about it.
Yeah, and right now Jimmy Vesey, who they signed to an extension, is not going to play. So that's
Laviolette too. I think he could be a fill-in. I don't have a problem with that.
But he's going to be a player on the team. Maybe right now they have a lot of players. It's like
this is the thing with the Rangers. I like them. I like their top end talent. Fox is one of the best defensemen in the league. Panarin is great. Kreider is great. It's whether Kakko and Lafreniere make the jump. If they do what Hedl has done over the last year or two, then they could finish higher than 3rd. But if they sort of maintain sort of that median level of success, they need those depth players to step up and play better. And if they do, then I think they could finish 1st or 2nd. But that's what is unsure. That's why I have them 3rd.
Yeah. So I've got Devils, Hurricanes, Rangers. Just to finish off the Rangers, I at least like what Laviolette's saying about Lafreniere. I hope he gives him an opportunity with Panarin. That would be great, because then I think Panarin could unlock a little more offense in him. Kakko has looked good in preseason, but again, we'll see about all that. Schneider will make a gain for them, and that'll help them defensively. Lindgren gets hurt a lot. That's a little bit of a concern because they really need him to offset with Fox. It's a great pairing. And so all that said, they did get a little too old for me. Like, I didn't like Bonino. I didn't like that addition.
Wheeler.
And I thought Zach Jones should have been able to make the team, but they've got what's his name? The short defenseman used to be in Edmonton that used to play for Laviolette.
Oh yeah, I know. I'll find it.
Eric, was it Eric something?
Eric Gustafson.
Eric Gustafson. Why he's on the team, I'll never know.
He's on the team to entertain me with the amount of time.
For every goal he gives up, he might get a goal every 2 games or 3 games. I don't get it. We'll see if that lasts. I know that's a Laviolette thing, but end of the day, I still think they'll make it. Carolina, I'm still concerned about with their goaltending. I still think they're going to have to go to Kochetkov at some point, but.
Well, okay, let's get into that because like the difference between Carolina and New Jersey, because I like New Jersey's talent a lot. They're they add Meyer to the group that they have. They're really impressive. Now New Jersey, their defense is not as good as Carolina because Carolina's got the best defense in the NHL, but it's good and
you have mobile. It's just not as good.
Right, you have Hughes coming in and maybe Nemec at some point, but right now it's Akira Schmid and Vitek Vanacek versus Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta.
It's a toss-up.
It's a toss-up, and maybe the random element is Kochetkov coming in at some point on the job.
It could be. I mean, that's the other thing that's weird on this team, and we could talk about it for a minute. I don't understand about Don Waddell talking about buying up all this AHL talent. Like, they don't even have an AHL team. We could start
They don't have an AHL team yet, I know.
How many AHL guys are they going to really put in their starting lineup, Mike? Like, that's
no. I think what he's saying is, it's pathetic, and I put this on the doorstep of Tom Dundon. It's pathetic that an NHL organization does not have an AHL affiliate. You should have straightened it out with Chicago. You shouldn't have meddled with them and told them to play certain players when they're trying to win championships. And now you're stuck with your out. Because you don't have an AHL team. And now it's a disparate of your talent where Kochetkov is going to Syracuse and you're sending players here, there, and to the SHL. And now if you have to call somebody up and the team is using that player, you're going to have to sign a player that's on an AHL deal and pilfer that player from another organization. And, they're going to do it because they're going to get an NHL contract out of it. But to be doing that is pathetic.
I like Dominic Fensor, but if I go by what Elite Prospects have, they have him starting in the E with Norfolk, which he's better than that. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, way better.
Esmir, Charlotte is not their affiliate anymore. No, they don't have an AHL affiliate.
So I don't understand a lot of what they're doing, and I do think it could cost them because, again, there are guys they can't call up. Like, there are Euros they can't call up because they're not in the AHL. They're overseas already.
Right. They sent 5 or 6 guys to Finland. So so
you lose the ability to have them for the year. But we'll see. New Jersey looks really good. I still don't love their goaltending, but I like it. I like it more than last year because Schmid at least proved something to me. I saw him live. I saw him in the locker room, how he carried himself. I thought that was pretty good. I do see how many guys are getting better on the Devils, and Bratt is getting better. So that's a little scary for the opposition as fast as they are. And I think that's the problem. I think even Carolina can't match them for speed because some of their stars aren't the fastest guys. Like Svechnikov is not the fastest guy. Aho is not the fastest guy. He's a really good player. But, these guys are really built for speed. And, Hughes does everything at top speed, and Bratt does, and Mercer does. And so that's problematic, and that's the edge that I give them.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it the different order here than you guys have as well. I've got the Rangers on the top, Carolina and New Jersey in that order. I do actually like some of the Rangers' old additions. I think that they're the kind of players that they've been lacking in the playoffs a little bit. It depends. Wheeler has I can really see Blake Wheeler being a factor. Like I could see him getting a rebirth there.
I could see him starting off strong, but I don't know if he'll finish strong.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. He might be a factor in the playoffs, but we're talking about the regular season, which is, and I think the age that the Rangers have added is going to be a factor in a long battle between the young speedy Devils and really a phenomenal defensive team in Carolina. I mean, I think the Rangers are really good. They're a top 3 team in that division. I just don't know. In the playoffs, it's going to be on Shesterkin, and those veteran players are going to have to step up. And I think they may save a little in the fuel tank for the playoffs.
I mean, they might, but they have so much talent. I mean, they really do have the most talent, I think, in the division. I really do.
I don't know. I mean, Esmir brings up a good point. If Alexander Holtz starts scoring goals for the Devils, that's another guy. I mean, they just don't have the name talent yet, the Devils, but they've got talent.
No, they do have talent, and they're really fast, and they're well coached and everything like that. And I could see Bratt having a major year. Like I'm with you guys on that. Like I think he's going to be like, if I was picking a draft team or whatever, I would try to sneak Brad on your team somehow. I think he's really going to be that good. I can see 40 goals, like that kind of thing. Like he's got that potential to make. But
if he's playing with the line that they've been playing in the preseason that's going to start the regular season is Bratt with Hughes and Tyler Toffoli. If that stays,
that's an amazing line.
That's an amazing line, and Bratt could get 40. No,
yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's jump over to the Atlantic.
Let me start. Let me please start.
Please. Yeah, go ahead.
Please. The Montreal Canadiens, they suck. Oh, just kidding. No, the Montreal Canadiens, there's some young talent there, but there's not enough talent there. They don't have, Jake Allen and Caden Primo as their goaltending is not up to the caliber of the rest of the division. They have some young defensemen. I like Gooley. I like Jack Eye. There's just not enough there. Jordan Harris. They're work in progress. But the problem is that they still have a bunch of guys who are on the downslope of their career, like Gallagher, who can't stay healthy, and I'd be shocked if he stays healthy throughout the year. Guys like Josh Anderson, who the only team that he kills is Toronto.
He seems better at the moment, though.
Well, right, until he has another shoulder injury, and then he's out for 6 weeks. I mean, that's if he could stay healthy, teams would love to have him at 5.5 or 5.75, but he can't stay healthy. So, I think they made a good addition with Newhook, and I have hopes for Slavkovsky. I wish they would send him down to the A and let him gain some experience, but they're going to keep him up apparently. So I think they're and Caulfield and Suzuki are really good young players. There's just not enough there, and this is a tough division. So they're 8 by a long shot.
I'm gonna put the Red Wings in 8. They're just. They show me nothing. Like they didn't do much in the offseason. They have young guys that they're waiting on to develop.
The DeBrincat ad was pretty big.
Yeah, that's a nice ad, but that's it's not going to transform them into a playoff team yet. There's not a lot there. They still have to rely on certain guys to score in roles. Goaltending's okay. Like Husso's okay. He's not great.
Well, I'm okay. We'll do 7 because I have Detroit 7. So I'll just add on to. Okay, they added Petrie. Petrie's still, he's old, but he's still serviceable. But that's not, that move is explainable. The Justin Hall contract is bizarre because he sucks. He's a terrible defenseman. Analytically he's great, but I'm sorry, anybody who watched him for 4 years in Toronto knows he's a terrible defenseman. At best he's a bottom pairing guy, and they paid him like a top 4 guy. So I don't understand the rest of their defense. Sider is great. So he's going to be top pairing, and he's going to, the Gostisbehere ad to have him as a power play quarterback. Fine. Sherrod is tough. Edvinson probably at some point makes the team, comes up. I like some of the ads at forward, but does DeBrincat in the 30 to 35 to 40 goals that he adds, does he make the difference? Their goaltending is almost as bad as Montreal's. Husso, Reimer, and Alex Lyon. Yeah. So there are holes here. I had them 7, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could finish 8. Now, Eck, what do you have 7 and 8?
8, I have Montreal too. I agree with you on Montreal, although I think Montreal will be better than the Islanders, Capitals, or Flyers. So if I was to put them in conference level, I would put Montreal at 13, with those 3 teams being below them. But I think this division is going to be a lot more balanced than it has been in the past, with the exception of a couple teams maybe towards the top. But even I think the battle for the playoff spot will be pretty significant. I'm not saying Montreal will be in that battle, but I think the other teams, everybody else will be. I think the 7 through 2 or 3 will be a battle.
I have it 1 through 6 will be really close.
So 7, I have the Canadians. I mean, I like that they got Tanner Pearson. I like that they got Newhook. Yeah. I think Newhook could be really big for them.
Yeah, it could be.
I do think Gooley is going to have a terrific year this year. Caden Gooley's a hell of a defenseman. Mm-hmm. And so, you add that, Slavkovsky, any kind of decent goaltending. Like right now, I'm actually feeling better about them than the Red Wings. Everybody can laugh it off on the Red Wings because there's all these expectations. It's not a star-laden lineup. It's a lineup that you are hoping to get max effort out of a lot of these rookies. And if some of them come up small, I mean, the Canadians have added in some of those younger stars or potential younger stars like a Newhook.
Yeah,
I think, Detroit has missed the boat on some of that. Yes, they added, DeBrincat, but not enough of that.
This is the legitimate criticism of Detroit. Dylan Larkin is a excellent player.
Mm-hmm.
He is. I would say he's an absolutely great number 2 center.
Mm-hmm.
He's an average number 1. Now, what have they done? Number 1 centers don't grow on trees, obviously, but they've added, Andrew Kopp and JT Compher in free agency the last 2 years. Those guys on really good teams are number 3 centers.
Yes.
Compher was a number 3 on Colorado. Kopp was a number 3 with the Rangers when they traded for him. He was a number 2 or number 3 with Winnipeg, and that was a borderline team. So they've got a number 2 and 2 number 3s. That's not good.
They do have a lot of balance, and they do have some young players that are starting to turn into something in Detroit. Like I think I don't know. I have them a little bit higher because at number 7 I have Tampa, and I really feel that this is a fall off for Tampa year.
I understand why. There are definitely reasons why.
Yeah, there's reasons why, and the goaltending issue, obviously, in the beginning of the year is going to be tricky. I mean, I'm saying that the next 7, 6, 5, and 4 could all be really tight. That's my opinion. Those 4 positions could be all tight, but I think I'm definitely putting Tampa there. Now I have above them at 6. I have Ottawa.
Yeah,
that's where I have Ottawa at 6.
Now I'll just. Okay, Russ, do you have Ottawa at 6 or do you have something higher?
No, I have Ottawa at 7.
Oh, okay.
And that's because I think the Pinto situation's hurting them.
The Norris situation.
Norris can't even play practice. This is a situation where I'm really befuddled because an RFA shouldn't have this much pull. They don't have any – the RFA has no leverage in this league. It's been proven, and it seems like this guy has some leverage.
Well,
it's crazy.
Well, and the thing
he's not like a star player either. It's like
he's a very good player. He's a good player.
But that's the problem. He's not a star player. He scored 20 goals last year, sort of out of the blue. So they can't get. He won't take a veteran, or he won't take the qualifying offer. I think it was $875,000. He wants to get paid. He wants to get paid around $2 million, but they don't have the cap space. They're so strapped up against the cap that tonight in their opener, they're going with a short lineup. They're going with 11 forwards and 6 defensemen.
Yeah, this is affecting them way too much. It should have been resolved. It's going to have ramifications. So that's the problem with that. And then Tampa, look, their defense isn't great. Their goaltending's worse right now. Right. They're going to score goals. Like, they're going to have 50-goal scorers on that team, but the problem is they're going to give up a lot of goals. And so they're going to have to win 5-4 games all year long. So that's the problem with Tampa, and that's why I've got them there.
Yeah, people have you have them where you have them at 6?
6.
Okay. I had Ottawa at 6 because, and I won't, going too long. I loved Stützle and Tkachuk. They're, I think, two of the best young forwards in the league. The addition of Tarasenko on a 1-year deal was, I think, a good roll of the dice. Yeah. Now you've got, I've been saying for years, I didn't like their defense, but now you've got Shabbat, you got Sanderson, and you got Chychrun as your top 3. I don't think the bottom half of their defense is great. Zub is okay. Brandstrom, we know his problems, Hamonic. I think it comes down to the goaltending, and it's whether we see the Korpisalo of LA of the last month and a half and in the playoffs, or we see the Korpisalo that struggled because of injury and because of inconsistency in Columbus. I don't know. I know that Anton Forsberg is not good. He can't stay healthy. And when he does stay healthy, he's, I think, an average goaltender. They're going to score goals. They're going to give up a lot of goals. And in this division, I think they'll be close, but I think there's still a room for improvement.
I have at 5 is where I have Detroit. So I'm a little bit higher than you guys on Detroit. I think that they've shown.
Russ, who did you have? You had Montreal at 6?
No, I have
Montreal at 7. I had what's their name at 8?
Ottawa. You had Ottawa.
Oh wait, no, wait, no.
You have Tampa at 6.
Oh, I had the Red Wings. I had the Red Wings 8.
Red Wings 8, right? Red Wings 8, right?
Montreal 7, Ottawa 6.
Ottawa 6.
Okay.
Right.
I'm back here. So,
and you had so fifth. Yeah. So I at fifth. I have. Yeah. Like I said, I have Detroit.
If you have Detroit. Okay. So I have Tampa 5th. And this is the thing, notwithstanding what happened last night, because I don't think Jonas Johansson is a good goaltender at all. I mean, he showed that he wasn't a good goaltender last night, but Nashville didn't have enough firepower to take advantage. And UC Saros played worse than Johansson. So there you go. Yeah, but I'll just say this when it comes to Tampa. There's still a championship pedigree. There's still a bunch of players who have a lot to play for. Stamkos, if they don't sign him, is going for a salary drive. So I think that's going to be motivation. They still have Hedman. They still have a quality core group. I think they're going to go out and find themselves a stopgap goaltender in the next week or two, but when they realize that Matt Tompkins and Johansson are not going to be able to get them through. If they stay 500 until Vasilevsky comes back, it's still a lot of pressure on a guy who's had back surgery. Yeah. But I still think
surgery and goalies, like they could tell me this is like the most modern surgery that's ever been that's ever happened, and I'll tell you, back surgery with goalies is hard. I have Tampa 5 too. I said 6, but when you flushed it out with me, it really is 5.
We are kind of in the same boat. I think with all the Tampa. I just have one less than you guys.
Yeah.
So for 5, so who we all have our 5th, and then so number 4
5 is Tampa for me, and then
5 Tampa for 5 for me and Russ. You have Detroit. 5.
Detroit there.
No, number 4. Go ahead, Ak.
4 at Boston.
Yeah.
This is where I put the Bruins. I think that they are, and I think that they are a playoff team. I have them coming in the playoffs. We'll get to that though when we get to the top 8. Yeah. But they are 4th in this division. I think that their demise is it's a little soon for me to say their demise is here. They're not like where the Capitals are to me. They're not there yet. And they were the best team ever last year. They lost players, granted, but they have a lot of players still. They're still a very good team.
Russ, the big surprise of camp for Boston, he's made the team out of camp, is Matt Poitras.
Yeah.
Now, 19 years old. This could be their version of Fraser Minton, where he gets a book and he goes back because he's only 19 years old. But he had an excellent camp, and we know their Achilles heel is Bergeron and Krejci. Bergeron is a no doubt Hall of Famer. Krejci is an excellent player. They're both gone, and their their first and second line centers right now are Pavel Zacha and Coyle, and they don't match up with the other centers in this division. So you still have Marchand, you still have Pasternak. There's still a really good core group there, but missing those two guys, I don't know.
I've got Florida 4. They're a long shot for the playoffs. They could still make it, but the problem with Florida is there's a lot of fluff in their lineup, man. They're missing a lot of legit goal scoring. Like Kachuk's going to have 120 points to make up for some of the gap that they have with some of these other players, including second line players. Their defense still isn't great. Am I already seeing Ekblad's is banged up?
Well, Ekblad's not going to be. He won't be ready until December.
Right. So he's not there until December. So I forgot that it was that long.
Ekblad and Montour are not expected to be back until close to December.
So you got those guys till December. You're trying to hold down the fort with the defense that they have. That's going to give Boston a huge break because Boston's defense is 1,000 times better than Florida's.
Could you have 4?
Boston. I just said Boston. So.
Okay. Now this is the thing with Florida. I'll save my analysis to Florida until because I have them a little higher, and I'll just say
for 3. I guess you want to know probably who I had for 3, right?
Yeah, go ahead. 3.
For 3 is where I put Buffalo.
Yeah, that's why I have Buffalo.
And I think they are a playoff team. I think they're going to be. I mean, obviously at 3, they're going to be a playoff team. But they are, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they play out here. I think it's going to be a good one. I think they're going to be fun, and I think that they are going to be. This is going to be a big rebirth of the Buffalo Sabres this year. I really feel
there's a lot of excitement here, and I think it's justified. But again, the question that I've been, floating all summer, and I think the main epicenter of skepticism when it comes to the Buffalo Sabres is whether their goaltending is good enough and whether they've improved defensively. That's the focus of Don Granato. He's talking a good game about when we wanted to play good defensively late in the season, we did. And Devin Levi is an extremely confident young kid, and doesn't seem fazed by the pressure, because basically everybody's saying Buffalo will make the playoffs if Devin Levi is good. And I think Devin Levi is good, but this is a team that gave up 300 goals against.
Right.
And on defense, they added, a couple serviceable veterans in Connor Clifton and Eric Johnson, but they're both starting on the bottom pairing this year. So it's going to come down to Dahlin and Samuelson, Yoki Haru and Power, and them being able to score enough goals to cover up for their defensive deficiencies. And if they improve defensively and if the goaltending is good, then I think they'll make the playoffs. But whether it's a lock, I have them in third, but it could fall apart if Levi is not able to handle it early on.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think they wanted to do more than that.
I got Bruins. Did you do 3 yet?
Yeah,
3 is Buffalo for him. 3 is Buffalo for me.
So I got the Bruins there. They still have defense and goaltending. They still have a good power play. That's how they're going to try and get into the playoffs, and I think they'll be able to do it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It'll be a struggle, but I think they'll be able to do it. So that's that for that.
Now okay. So I'm assuming, Ak, who do you have at 2?
I'll go with this. And I'm going to give a little more analysis. I have the Sabres at 2, and I'll tell you why. I've looked at the situation. One thing about Levi is he gives off a lot of confidence, and I don't think the Sabres players had a lot of confidence in any of their goaltending last year. I think that proved out at the end.
Justifiably so.
So, and it proved out at the end. So now the question is, if he has to play more than 50 games, what will the drop-off be? We don't know that. I guess we'll find that out. I still think their defense is better than it was. It's not as good as Boston's, but their offensive capability is great. And, God forbid they keep Zach Benson up there. That could be a massive add for them, because he's one of the smartest hockey players in any hockey world. It doesn't matter if it's NHL, AHL, it doesn't matter. And so I'd be interested to see if he could stay, but they have young guys that are getting better, and they still, they have a lot of continuity, and Granato's done a good job. So I do think, everybody's used to them disappointing. I see the chat room. I'm going against the chat room.
Yeah. The funny thing about Benson is that he took advantage of the fact that Jack Quinn was going to be out until December. Yep. That was supposed to be Matthew Savoy's spot.
But he got hurt.
He got hurt in the prospect tournament. Now he played great playing on the top line with Skinner and Thompson. He's not playing there to start the season. They're playing him lower down in the lineup. There's some thought, Russ, that he's sticking around. And if he plays well, then he's going to stay. Right. But if it's too much for him too soon as an 18-year-old, that he's sort of a placeholder until Savoy gets up to speed. Right.
Which is fine. They're similar players, so
give him. There's no harm in giving him a taste of the NHL and knowing and rewarding him for what is going on. How he performed at training camp, and his junior team right now is in a complete mess because of Kevin Constantine being suspended because of some stuff that he apparently said. So they don't. Their junior team doesn't have a coach. So, why not keep them for a few weeks until they get things straightened out there? So, Buffalo, I think Buffalo was in the mix for, one of the top 3 spots, but there are ways that they could find themselves out of that if they don't improve on what happened last year.
Yeah. For me, the top 2, and I got to boogie a little bit pretty quickly here for this, but the top 2 are Toronto at 1 and Florida at 2. I think that I think the Leafs are going to be good, maybe even a little bit better than they were last year. I had them at number 1 last year. I'm dying to see, Mike, if you actually put them at number 1.
No, I had Florida 2 and Toronto 1, and it's sort of like a situation where they're the team that made, even though they had a bunch of players leave via free agency, they had the least amount of change in the sense of, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Riley, Samsonov. Well, the same.
They added Ryan Reeves.
Yeah, they added Ryan Reeves, so there you go. But they added Bertuzzi to replace Bunting on the top line. That's an upgrade unless Bertuzzi gets hurt. Domi, I think, is a good fit. Yeah, Domi is a good fit on the second line. Now they've got a couple young kids, and I mean, Nyes looks like, I don't know if he's going to start. He's going to be really good.
Nyes can play. He's a good player.
Nyes can play. Minton is somebody who they probably, like Benson, they keep around as long as he's playing well. But the continuity is there in terms of the core group. So I think, they made they had the least amount of really significant change. So that's why.
Sorry for blowing out really quickly, but I got to go help somebody here.
That's fine. I had the Leafs won, and that's because they're the greatest regular season team ever. Go ahead, Ed.
I got to go. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay. All right. Fireworks. No. So yeah. Eck makes the quick. He
didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah. He didn't want to. Well, believe me. Anybody who knows when it comes to me picking, I always never pick Toronto, but it's sort of like a situation where
it's almost going to be handed to him. It's going to be a disappointment.
That's what's scary because I
know, but I would say I would agree with you in the sense that if you look over this division, they have to win this division. Like if they don't, something's wrong with them unless they had a massive injury at goaltending. That would be the thing.
Well, yeah, I mean that, or they have a massive injury with one of those top forwards, or the defense struggles. So it's not locked, etched in stone. But I do think
they should be the best team in that division.
Yeah. So just to finish out here, 6 games tonight we'll do the Western Conference tomorrow.
Yep.
6 games on the dock tonight. Gee, what a shock. Canadians Leafs opening the season.
Hey, it's like hockey night in Canada
honestly, it's like, it's getting so old. I love tradition, but my God, it's like mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they mixed it up.
Yeah, so Canadians Leafs, and like last year, the Canadians are supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league. The Leafs are supposed to be one of the best, and it's the Canadian Stanley Cup, so they'll get riled up, and Josh Anderson will probably score 4 goals, and they'll probably beat Toronto. So
I will tell you this. I don't know where I heard this, but an interesting thing, would the Canadians try and send Caden Primo down? If they did, would he be taken by Tampa, or would Tampa make a trade for him?
So he's not waiver exempt, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. They're doing the 3 goalie thing, but they're not going to be able to do it all year either.
No, Montembeau. They have Montembeau and they have Allen. So, but you know what? Their roster is, they have enough players that are waiver exempt that they could send other players down and keep the 3 goalies that they have to. But maybe they're waiting until after. Maybe they're waiting until after Tampa makes the move for a goaltender, and then they will feel safe sending Primo down.
Yeah, and didn't Keith Primo play for Tampa for a short time?
No, Gratton did. I don't think Primo did.
Oh, Gratton did, not Primo. Okay. I just feel like that's a good fit. And I don't know, maybe Tampa would actually trade for him when they find out their goaltending is not that good.
Yeah. Randy in the chat said they're going to trade for Vladar. Vladar makes $2 million. They can't.
Yeah, it's too much. They can't do it, Randy.
Yeah. Okay. Senators open at the Hurricanes. That'll be a challenge for Ottawa. Like I said, with 17 skaters.
That's a slobber knocker. I think the Hurricanes are going to smoke them.
I think this is unfair in terms of the NHL schedule to put the Blackhawks back-to-back nights. But they wanted the Connor Bedard spectacle, and so it's the TNT game.
In Boston, they're going to blow up Bedard, which is fine. I don't mind that they do it, but I hope everybody does understand that when you're a kid and you burn out that kind of energy in your first game, we'll see. He's great for energy, but I don't know if he'll be as sharp in the second game, like 11 shots sharp.
Yeah, this is basically Canada Day because the other 2 games are Jets Flames and Oilers Canucks. So the Canucks will.
I'll sleep through the Oilers Canucks. I'll watch a little of the Jets Flames. Because I want to kind of see what the Flames are. I don't know what the hell they are.
Yeah, we'll wake up and Draisaitl and McDavid will be 1-2 in the NHL scoring because they play the Canucks and they always pistol whip the Canucks. So, and the last game, the second half of the TNT doubleheader will be Avs Kings. So 6 good games, entertaining. We'll probably only touch on those games tomorrow because we'll be doing the Western Conference.
Yeah. We do want to wish our best to Barry Melrose too. I mean, I've had a lot of interactions with him. Just saw him again last season, which was his last season. And yeah, he'll be missed. Look, you say whatever you want about him, but he was always fun. If you were around him, he was a fun guy. He had stories. It was always fun to talk to him. And just, he was a nice guy.
Yeah, and Russell
well, and hope he could beat MS.
I agree. And Russ will always thank him because he got him out of the snow, the blizzard at the.
It was me, Melrose, Levy, and 2 other reporters, and we walked like a half a mile in the snow around the big house to get to a bus. And this bus driver was like, I don't know if we're supposed to hop over this curb because this lane is closed. And Melrose goes, do it. So the bus driver does it. We hop over. There's nobody on the highway. We literally get back to our hotel. People didn't get back to their hotels until 2 hours later. So I thank Barry Melrose for that.
So by that time, Russ was quite lubricated.
Oh my God. I was hanging out with the Red Wings.
And of course they were drinking heavily because the Leafs.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Hockey Buzzcast for the departed Eklund. For Russ Cohen, I'm Michael Lagello. Thank you for watching. And remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey.